a 3D printed, semi-automatic, blowback, mag-fed Springer. Yes, it exists. The model is only $5, and you probably already own the necessary components to get this little guy blasting BBs. Say hello to the pudding. Could this be your next airsoft backup? Let's find out. Before we get into the video, here's a word from our sponsor. Today's sponsor is me. Well, more specifically, my airsoft field, Wild West Acres. If you're in Western Washington and looking for a new CQB field, swing on by. It's an airsoft field for airsofters by airsofters. No paintballs allowed.
Alright, cool your jets, Waves. Paintballers have a place, just not here. At Wild West Acres, Waves and Pepper, that's me, work to provide games with high-intensity, dynamic modes and objectives designed to get the most bang for your BBs. For a limited time, tickets will be $10 so you and your buddies can have a whole day of fun for half the cost you'd spend elsewhere.
Half the cost? Man, that's quite the sell, Pepper. Is that allowed?
Sure it is, Waves. $10 for a ticket is a nice low bar for anyone trying the sport for the first time, while also being affordable for longtime players.
For new players, we'll have limited numbers of rentals and plenty of BBs for anyone who needs them. We're always looking for players who want to try out new gear, show off fun ideas, and even those exploring the hobby for the first time.
Come on by the Wild West Acres and have a wild time.
Yeah! For airsofters new to 3D printing, think of it like an over-glorified robotic glue gun. You give the printer a set of instructions, and the printer pushes out layers of plastic on top of each other until a few hours later, you have whatever you ask the printer to print. For the project, you'll need two 3mm elastic bands described by the project in 2 different lengths, and your 3D printer, of course. And that's it, which means there's not a massive barrier to making this thing if you have a 3D print setup at home. The next thing you might be wondering is, how well does it work? And honestly, it's sort of mixed in my experience. For transparency, I printed mine out on a pretty well-tuned Ender 3, but I ran into some issues getting the replica to function pretty quickly. The first thing I encountered was I couldn't get a BB down the barrel at all. There was way too much friction. A change in printer settings and a reprint and sanding did fix this, but I think it's a problem inherent with the 3D printed barrel in general. Normal airsoft barrels kind of try to alleviate this by having a smooth mirror finish. Another issue I had was the accuracy. When this blaster is up and running, I had serious random accuracy issues. And again, I suspect this may be due to the friction in the barrel. I think it sometimes caught BBs and sent them wildly flying off course. I do recognize that this is a Springer. I don't demand insane accuracy or even range, but if you're spending the time to make this, I think it's worth knowing. Extra friction due to the print ridges was more of a common theme in my issues as well. Fitment of various parts required filing and sanding. My final issue was admittedly more my fault than anything else. I printed my frame at the wrong angle without supports and messed up the nub holding the magazine into the replica. I did a reprint of the frame, and even still, my mag refused to stay in place, even when it was printed properly. Even with that, I wouldn't be making a video on this BB blaster if I didn't think something like this had a lot of potential. To reiterate, the non-printed parts are super easy to find. It's relatively simple to print in a weekend, and it gets the job done. In airsoft, your secondary is usually your backup that you'll pull when you're within minimum engagement ranges. Here, you don't need accuracy or power, you just need something that's going to put BBs downrange at a low velocity. As an added benefit, the pudding is incredibly lightweight due to its 3D printed design, which means you have very little extra weight on the hip. I think this is a really cool little idea, and I also think it's worth your time taking to check out. Anyways, guys, that's been the pudding replica. I really enjoyed making this little guy. I think it was a lot of fun to go out and test. Anyways, have a great day, don't be a cheater, and that's all, folks.